Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday night edition of Feedback. I'm Mark Tespadakis. As we have been doing a lot this semester, we are talking politics, and that continues tonight. We're talking with some Clarion University students about politics. Stay with us. Feedback starts now. As I said, good Tuesday evening to you. It's a night of talking politics. We've been doing that a good bit recently, and we are doing that again tonight. We're joined tonight, we're going to be talking to, in the next two segments, by George Rutherford, who is actually from the Clarion University Young Democrats, right?
That is correct.
And Kate Zaffron, I pronounced that right.
Yes.
Okay. And you're from the Political Science Association.
And Young Republicans.
And Young, which is just being formed, right?
Right.
Okay. So we're going to be talking to them about college politics, about politics in general. That's all coming up tonight. We're also going to be talking about some national things. It was primary day in Illinois today, and they're coming up with a way so that you don't have to deal with the pregnant chads and the dimpled chads, a way to maybe correct some of the problems that were had in Florida last year. We're going to be talking about that as well coming up. Stay with us. Feedback continues after the break.
This portion of the programming was brought to you by the Clarion Bowl Arena, located on Route 322, 1 mile east of Clarion. Bowl Arena offers rock and bowl every Friday and Saturday night, and a game room with 8 pool tables and arcade games. Bowl Arena also offers bumper bowling for kids' birthdays and league play for adults. Call 764-3471. Again, that's 764-3471.
What is a hero? Are heroes born, or are they made? In after-school programs, your kids will uncover hidden strengths, discover they have the power to change their future, and find the hero inside themselves. Let us know you on after-school programs in your area. Call 1-800-USA-LEARN. After-school programs, helping kids find the hero within.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by the Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant. The Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant is located at 540 Main Street in Clarion and offers dining as well as a nightclub. The restaurant and nightclub are open 7 days a week for your convenience. Call Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant, 226-8400.
I'm the best thing you ever had. Only thing I'm guilty of, giving you too much love, making you crazy, making you rap, making me fall, making me suspect. Seem to think I'm playing her game. Don't you know the her? This is me.
There's a better way to have fun with history. Visit americaslibrary.gov. Log on, play around, learn something.
You're watching TV5 with Zeta Tau Alpha.
The election passed. Good evening. Good evening. I already said that several times. Welcome back to Feedback. I'm Mark Tespadakis. We were talking politics tonight, as I said, with George Rutherford here. Both Clarion University students, but George is from the Young Democrats, and Kate Zaffron, who is a Political Science Association and the newly, soon-to-be formed Young College Republicans.
That's correct.
So college students involved in politics, something I say, I don't think they know enough about politics, or do they know the groundwork? What you guys are obviously political science people. You're involved in it. First of all, maybe what is it that interests you, that gets you involved in it?
Well, I have to say, what gets me involved in politics is it's really something amazing to me. I just think it's something that you can do to really change the world that we live in. And I think more people need to be involved, and not enough people care about what's going on in the world today. And so I think that's one of the things that by being involved in these organizations, we can hopefully reach out and talk to some of the students about, what is going on and what they can do to make a difference. Not even, in the world, but even on campus. So.
I agree with a lot with what she said. My interest in politics really first fired off when I was in the military, because right out of high school I went into the United States Navy, and then after really being forced into a situation where you see politics at work firsthand, and you really just get an idea of what's going on, and it just really sparked my interest and took off from there. And coming to Clarion and becoming part of the Young Democrats, which is also a pretty new organization as well, and being around a bunch of other young people, and not even all young people. There are some people there who are, and we have one member I think that's in his 60s, but it's just really nice to see a group of people who want to get together and make a difference in the area, in the state and local government, platform, and have such an interest in the national government as well. I just think it's really great. But like you said, I definitely don't think there's enough of it.
Well, you both say making a difference, and I agree that yes, absolutely, that there is a chance to make a difference, but sometimes it seems, how in the world can you get people involved? How can you get them to pay attention to the issues? Because they say the politics are boring. This is not, you guys come at it from, you do enjoy it, but there are some people who do find it boring, but it's important nonetheless. How do you get the message out there to say you've got to pay attention to the issues?
Well,
maybe you have the magic answer.
Well, I don't think there really is a magic answer,
No.
but what we try to do is we try to sponsor voter registration drives and, at least get people registered to vote, because there are so many people on campus that aren't registered to vote, and I think that's one of the real big problems. And if we can get them registered to vote, that's a start. And I'm happy, getting people registered. Because we've run several registration drives, and people just walk past. No. Are you registered to vote? No.
It's true.
And it's really depressing, because it carries over into their adult life and in their careers, and then they sit there and they complain about what's going on in the world, and they really don't have any right to, because they don't vote. As long as you're registered to vote and you vote, then you have the right to complain.
Good observation.
I think too, it's like a lot of other things. We also know that being in shape is good for you. We know that there's a lot of things that are good to do, and they're things that we should do, but like you said, a lot of times they're boring, they're not fun, and people don't want to do things that aren't fun if they don't have to. So I think one of the important things that we would have to do is try and make it interesting, raise awareness. And one of the things I was actually talking to Katie about earlier was that I also think it's important to not make it a Democrat versus Republican thing. It's just to try and get together, and we even our two organizations are working on trying to get some things together, like getting people to register to vote and whatnot. And I think that it would be a great idea if during things like Spring Fling or whatnot, to set up outside of Gemmel, set up booths like some of the fraternities and sororities do, and maybe just try and set up little things that would make it more interesting, that could arouse interest of your average college student, because I think the average college student is concerned with the things that directly affect them. I think politics are interesting to the college student when it's a matter of tuition, when it's a matter of education.
Right.
That's stuff we're all concerned with, but I think that it does have to go further than that, and we just really need to make it as interesting as we can to get people involved.
I think that something that happened was a lot of people may have been disillusioned by politics based on our last presidential election.
Oh boy.
And I want to go into talking about that a little bit, but today was the Illinois primary, and they came up with this new system to improve voter accuracy. So I want you to take a look at this story. Keith Oppenheim takes us to the polls of the Illinois primary to explain how the new system works.
Remember this? Florida officials struggling to determine if a Chad was hanging, swinging, or dare I say, pregnant.
It did shake the confidence of a lot of voters, election 2000, the presidential election. So I think there was something needed.
In Chicago and Cook County, that something is a ballot counter with a new feature called second chance voting. If your ballot's fine, the machine sucks up the punch card. But if you overvote, punch too many holes for one race, the machine spits the ballot back, identifies the problem, and then, if you wish, you can go to a voter correction booth to fix your error. Then there's undervoting.
Okay, it came out because you undervoted. That means you didn't vote for all the candidates?
Right.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, now I just override it.
Again, you have the choice. Your undervoted ballot can be sent, or you can change it. It turns out undervoting is a major concern. In fact, in the 2000 presidential election, about 7% of the ballots cast in Chicago had no vote registered for president. That was about twice the average rate of undervotes in a major election here.
They would have been very useful for the presidential election, because I think we could have alerted thousands of voters to the fact that they undervoted or overvoted, and they could have corrected that ballot.
Chicago and Cook County officials hope the 5,000 machines installed will improve accuracy. As for griping,
I still think that this should be easier.
some things never change. In Chicago, I'm Keith Oppenheim reporting.
And we should note that accuracy may come at a price. Chicago and Cook County spent $25 million for the purchase and installation of 5,000 second chance voting machines. All right, is this the answer? What they're doing?
Absolutely not. That is absolutely, voting is not that complicated. I voted several times and it is not that complicated at all. All people have to do is pay attention to what they're doing, and a lot of people don't do that.
Well, I mean, the woman in here says, I still think this should be easier in the story we just watched.
I agree. I mean, I see what Katie's saying. If you really do pay attention, I don't think it's that difficult, but this is also coming from the perspective of people who are really interested in politics and who really get involved.
Right.
I think the average person who they want to have their level of involvement to be just going out and voting. They want it to be simple.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with making it simple. How do you make it simple? I don't think I have the best answer, but I don't think it should be complicated.
Well, I think instead of working so much on local answers, they should be working more on a sort of a national level, make it more so everything's interrelated and they can keep track between the nation as a whole instead of just state to state, because I think that's where one of the problem lies also.
Did the Florida incident disillusion people? I mean,
Absolutely.
what effect is that going to have? Maybe effect that we don't even know of at this point come the next presidential election, even if you don't look that far ahead.
I think that it did disillusion some people, and it made it appear more complicated. And I know a lot of times if people only know what they see or hear on the news, and if they see that voting was a big complication issue in Florida, that's what they think it's going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just not a good thing at all. I mean, you don't want people going into a voting or into an election year with the mindset that this is going to be a big pain in the neck.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the preconceived notion that they're going to have, is that
Right.
it's going to be very difficult, and it's not.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a problem
No,
not going into the booth.
not personally.
Is it worth it? I mean, whatever the solution is going to be is going to cost a good bit of money. I think that's certainly understood. Whether it be something going like a national system, or look what they're doing in Cook County, Illinois, $25 million for 5,000 machines. I mean,
absolutely.
Is it worth all the money? Or is it just worth to throw your hands up in the air and say, what can we do? It's not that hard.
I don't know if it's going to be worth it or not. I don't know what the exact numbers are going to be, but I know that, when I was on a submarine, for whatever reason, a roll of toilet paper cost $12, and I thought that was worth it. So, I mean, maybe this will be worth it, too, for the convenience. I'm not really sure.
Wow, now that's an analogy.
It's true.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some specific issues after the break, but this was certainly interesting to talk about the Chad checker in Chicago. Stay with us. We're going to take a break. Feedback continues after this.
I wasn't going to school because I was making money stealing cars. Well, I was 10 when I first got involved with drugs. I skipped school because, nobody cared.
When I first got pregnant, school was not important to me, so I dropped out.
Well, if I don't finish school, then I can't go to college. I mean, that's the whole point of what I want to do with my life.
I still need to go to school to make it for myself.
I think I'm happier now. I know I'm happier now.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by Fox's Pizza Den. Fox's Pizza Den is located on Old Route 66 in Clarion and offers all-day delivery. Phone 226-5555. That's 226-5555. Fox's Pizza Den is open 7 days a week for your convenience. Phone 226-5555.
You know, we sing for millions of girls, but helping out in schools, that's the real deal, baby. I know our love can multiply.
I'm the cute one, you know what I'm saying?
Have you ever been backstage before? 'Cause you're the exit.
I think you'll find that gravity is key in what I do.
Once was one, but now we're two. I'm spinning out of control.
Oh. This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant from Clarion Hospital. Clarion Hospital is located off of Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Clarion Hospital offers outpatient services, transitional care, as well as an emergency room open around the clock every day of the year. More than 400 employees and 80 physicians work to serve the community. Call the Clarion Hospital at 226-9500. Clarion Hospital, providing health care to Clarion County and surrounding communities since 1954. It didn't come across. Hey, we're back. We are here with some college students who are very politically involved. George Rutherford, who is of the Clarion University Young Democrats, but he's also a Clarion University student. And we also have the Republican side. Not that that's bad. No, we haven't really gotten into anything too hot and heavy politics.
Yeah, nothing too risque yet.
All right, so here's the chance to do that. Governor's race. It's starting to heat up in Pennsylvania.
A little bit.
And really, it looks like it's going to be the race to follow at this point is going to be on the Democratic side, looking Rendell versus Casey.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Alan Kukovich here in town last week.
Yes.
And
very nice.
I was I thought that Kukovich was actually going to be maybe Casey's running mate, and then I hear Jack Wagner. I was surprised. Were you guys surprised?
Yeah, I have to say, especially after meeting Mr. Kukovich, it was definitely a surprise.
I wonder if Kukovich was surprised.
I bet he probably was, because speaking to him, he seems pretty confident, and I think he should be, because I went to his presentation and it was very good, and I was certainly supporting him, and I was really surprised. And I think that a lot of Kukovich supporters might turn against Casey because of this. I mean, at least that's from having...
You think the lieutenant governor's spot is important enough?
I think the lieutenant governor spot gets a bad rap. You know, you always hear that lieutenant governor, what is their job? Nobody really knows, and that everybody and their brother runs for lieutenant governor, so it doesn't really matter. But I do think that, I do think it's an important spot. I think it's a very important position, and I think that some people really base their vote around people like Alan Kukovich, and I don't think it's going to be a very huge detrimental blow to Casey's campaign, but I do think it will put a decent-sized dent in it.
I agree. Kukovich did get out, and he did win some people over, but I really don't think it's going to make that big of a difference in Casey's. I think he's going to win.
I think Casey's going to win. Well, but let me tell you what I thought. I thought Casey was going to win from the get-go, and then now all of a sudden Rendell. Every time I see him, I'm like, maybe he does have more of a chance than I thought he did. Does Rendell even does he have a chance?
Kate.
Who do you want to see? I mean, do you want, okay, I presume you want Mike Fisher?
Yes.
Okay. Who would you rather see Fisher run against, maybe, is the question to you?
I think if he were to run against Casey, it would be a more interesting race.
Right.
Definitely,
right.
by far. But I really, tell you the truth, I haven't paid much attention to Ed Rendell. I mean, I catch his commercials on TV quite regularly, but I would prefer if Casey...
Really?
Yes.
See, I would think that the Democrats would say Casey's the stronger. It would be more interesting, but I think Rendell was the weaker candidate because, like you're saying, you see him on the commercials. That's how most people see him. Casey, we've been hearing about Casey. Well, number one, I think people are going to go in there and vote and think that it's former Governor Casey, because you know how people are.
Because I've already heard some people that thought it was former Governor Casey, not realizing that it was his son.
Yes.
That's a shame. That's really a shame. Originally, when Rendell throws his hat into this, I'm thinking, well, you know what, he's going to get the other side of the state, but can he get the western side of the state? I think that because Casey, I thought, was broad enough that we could, people know the name, number one. Do people know Rendell's name? But look, these ads are everywhere.
Yeah, but I definitely think that having a Casey in office before is going to be his strong point in his campaign.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I mean, in Pennsylvania, the name Casey means something. I mean, not to do an unfair comparison, but look at the name George Bush. I mean, I think the name George Bush meant something. I know
Sure.
Katie's going to scowl at me, but it's true. I mean, political science will tell you that name recognition is going to mean something.
Definitely.
You know, things like going out and pressing the flesh and having a name for yourself and whatnot. These are all big factors, and I think in that case, Casey has the upper hand over Rendell. Now, how it's going to turn out overall, I'm not sure. I think you're right that Casey is probably a stronger candidate, but I mean, just from my, I don't think that there is a Democratic perspective in general, but from my perspective, I'm having a really hard time with it. Seeing who I would like to see run against Fisher, I'm really pretty torn, to be honest.
Well, what happens then when, let's say Casey wins? I mean, what are we looking at for the race after?
Mike
after
Fisher
the
all the
primary?
way.
Well, I think that's a partisan view.
Well, just a tad.
You know, I mean, what happens because this Democratic race has been so popular now, and the Casey and Rendell name are out there.
Right.
Mike Fisher, what? Who? Is that going to be a problem?
I can see it posing a potential problem, but I still think that Mike Fisher is a very strong candidate, and he is going to give Casey a pretty good run for his money.
How interesting is this race going to be? Is this going to be a ho-hum, or are we going to actually
I think it's going to be pretty good. I think it's going to be pretty good, especially for the reason you said, because the Democratic primary is raising such a hoopla that when it finally comes down to it, I mean, especially, say if Rendell wins, I mean, is that going to be enough? Just the popularity of the Democratic primary, is that going to be enough to put him over the edge against Fisher?
Right.
I don't know. If Casey wins, I think it's going to be a lot more one-sided because he already has that upper hand.
Back to Casey for a minute. Picking Wagner, I was definitely surprised that it was Wagner. Is this a smart choice? Because who in Philadelphia knows Jack Wagner? I mean, I couldn't. Can you guys give me any justification for the choice?
I thought Jack Wagner was a character on Dynasty. I had never heard of him before. But I was definitely surprised. I mean, I'm going to be a little bit biased just because Kukovic was the only candidate that I met, and I was really impressed by him. So, from my own perspective, I really liked Kukovic. I don't know anything about Wagner, and I don't know how many people really do know anything about Wagner. And whether or not it was a smart decision, I guess, you know, we'll find out.
Right. Well, the only one of Fisher, Casey, and Rendell that I have met has been Casey when he was in town in the fall. And I'm hoping that Rendell's coming to town, that I have a chance to talk to him. But I came away from talking with Casey as, I mean, he was, like, he knew what my question was going to be before it was out of my mouth. And although I was probably more inclined to say that this is who I would vote for, I left kind of saying, you're a politician. Like, I don't like to say I don't like when someone comes across to me as being a politician.
Right.
You know, Alan Kukovic did not come to me, and I'm not saying any of this like in partisan lines. I'm talking as a human. Alan Kukovic came across to me as a human.
Right.
Bob Casey, I felt, knew what I was going to ask, and he had his, answer set for me. Didn't matter what my question was. This is what he was going to answer.
Well, that just shows that he was prepared. That's all.
But I obviously could tell, and that bothered me.
I mean, this is sort of a personal plug for myself as well, but right now, I'm running for state rep in the 65th district, and when I met Kukovic...
That is a personal plug.
Yeah, it is. But when I talked to Kukovic, he was so nice, and he gave me a card, and, you know, he wrote down, if this number, you know, if you can't get through to me at this number, call this number, if there's anything my office can do. And I mean, for someone like me who's going to be a voter, that alone is the sort of thing that's going to balance where my vote goes. And so... I've never met Casey, but I can definitely say that Kukovic seemed like a very nice, personable guy and really seemed like a human being instead of just a politician, not that Mr. Roboto sort of thing that like Al Gore gets slammed for instance.
Exactly. Yeah, I saw him out the day that he got his beard shaved because in case Tipper was going to run, I'm going to shave my beard. And then he's out there being all political, and I was just like, I like him, but I can't stand to listen to him sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't think much of anybody can.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to
jeez.
When it comes to the 2000 presidential election, that was just awful. I think that was a nightmare for a lot of Republicans and Democrats. I mean, personally, I won't say who I voted for, but I can tell you it was a write-in. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. We're out of time, but this has certainly been fascinating. Thank you guys for joining us. It's always interesting to talk politics, especially with some university students. Thank you guys for joining us. Stay with us. We will be back. I'm on camera too. We'll be back after the break.
some more to eat.
Come on, just one bite.
I don't like it.
This portion of programming is sponsored by Reese Brothers, located in Drake Square Building in Oil City. Reese Brothers offers competitive hourly wage, plus daily bonuses, flexible scheduling, company-sponsored health benefits, and paid professional training. Call today at 1-800-365-3500, extension 684, or 677-9236 for your personal interview, or stop by and visit the Drake Square Building. Reese Brothers, where integrity and technology connect.
Hear the one about the rabbi and the reverend who like to party? A community coalition got them together with local restaurant owners. Now they host drug-free kids parties.
These guys know how to party.
It's just one example of what community coalitions can do. But it's not the only way to keep kids away from drugs. Visit helpyourcommunity.org to find out what your group can do. Because you get more
when you get together.
Wardrobe for some TV5 News staff provided by Fashion Bugs located in the Clarion Mall. Whether you're looking for junior trendy or fashion for women, they have it all with many different styles. Fashion Bug also offers a wide selection of accessories. Fashion Bug is located in the Clarion Mall, just off exit 62 off Interstate 80. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. till 9 p.m., and Sunday from noon till 5.
Welcome back. That's all the time we have for On Feedback tonight. Join us on Thursday night. State Representative Fred McElhatton will be joining us, talking politics with him, talking a lot of things going on here in the district. Stay tuned tomorrow night, TV5 News at 7 o'clock, Sports Night at 7:30. We'll see you back here, 7:30 Thursday night. Thanks for joining us.